Hello everybody out there, hi. So just so you guys know, we are in the middle of a move right now.
Yep. This lovely hairstyle is thanks to moving boxes this morning.
Yes. Part of that, of course, is uncertainty about internet, so apparently our connection is a little bit unstable today. So we may be dropping in and out on the stream, but we are still going to do the show for today. And if you have a lot of trouble viewing it live through Twitch, then hop in and catch us on YouTube because the whole video will be uploaded there. Hey Jenny!
Hi!
Nice to see you there.
And we're so glad everybody got their packages. That makes us happy. We're glad that they arrived safe, and we hope that you use them in good health.
And I started typing out into the chat too about the trouble we're having with our connection today, and realized that I was in all caps. So it was like, hey guys!
Hey! Well, I'm going to go ahead and talk about our lovely shirts here today. Again, as we mentioned last week, we're going to try to wear shirts that showcase some lovely local businesses or nonprofits or philanthropies, just basically because that's kind of the easiest way that we have been finding to support people in times of quarantine. I am wearing, it's Mockingbird Cafe and Bakery. It's out in Christiansburg. This is another one of the King Screen keys for hashtag Roanoke Strong. I picked this one. I picked Showtimers last week because they were a community theater I worked with. I picked this one is because one of my friends just got her PhD and like solely credits Mockingbird for keeping her fed during it. And during quarantine, they would leave her order outside on the patio, and they congratulated her and gave her a nice little treat. And I thought that was super sweet. And I never went there, unfortunately, out in Christiansburg when I lived in Blacksburg. I wish I would have, but I wanted to support them. I like the logo. It's super cool. I feel like back in the 90s, when you go to like American Eagle and you're like, oh, I'm going to buy this cool logo shirt. So now I kind of have a nice little collection going from all my my COVID-19 purchases.
Yes. And for my shirt today, I have Amazing Superb Donor, which of course is about blood donation. I am not the Amazing Superb Donor. She is the Amazing Superb Donor. I am actually not permitted to be a blood donor. Because when I was a kid, my family spent a little bit of time in Europe, and that has, for my entire life, meant that I am not allowed to give blood. So, but I do believe that giving blood is important if you are able to give blood.
Especially now.
Yes, especially in a situation like now. Please do consider making an appointment to give blood. Be an Amazing Superb Donor. If I could, I would. I can't, but she does, and I get the t-shirts.
I'm O positive, so I'm pretty much universal, and I'm always happy to do that. What's been really nice about our community here in Central Virginia is they really haven't needed donations because everybody's been really stepping up to the plate. I guess when we're all able to be tested, and if we find out that we were asymptomatic carriers, I know that donating my plasma is something I'd really want to do in order to help find a cure. We just don't know. We don't know right now, and I think kind of the scariest thing that we're going through right now, especially with moving, is we ran out of masks yesterday, and we have like 5 in rotation. So we kind of were like winging it for a bit there, and we felt a little bit nervous. And then, of course, a lot of other people in our community have not been wearing their masks and have been getting very close. And I understand our community in Central Virginia was not hit very hard. I think we had about under 100 cases. We did have a few people die who were older. But it's still one of these things that I just feel that the scariest thing is we don't know who's an asymptomatic carrier. So we just encourage everybody, like, wear your masks. We're definitely trying to do it, and it's no fun wearing a mask and when you're hauling things up and down stairs or in the humidity. But we're doing our best.
Yes, it is important. Do your best.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And Jenny, I'm very happy that you love the soap. That is.
Yes,
keep washing the hands.
We'll send you more. I actually have I bought these soap kits, and they're vegetable glycerin, and I was never a big fan of glycerin soap, but I really love these kits. They're from Brambleberry. They're out in kind of Washington State. and I highly recommend them. I think that I remember glycerin soaps as little cheap things that you get in your Christmas stocking with toys in it. You're more excited about the toy than the soap, and I think the soaps are really high quality, and I don't know. I just highly recommend them. I'm going to try to get Glenn to do his own version of a melt and pour type of soap for you guys. We still have some more kits to kind of get through, so. But yeah, we're experiencing some trouble with our stream today. We moved and we're kind of squatting in a place that we pay a mortgage on.
Yeah.
So we don't really have really strong internet. We had some packages delivered that got returned because there's no certificate of occupancy yet. So we're here.
Yeah.
We're doing our best. We have to be out of our other apartment by the end of the weekend, so that's something we're going to get back to right after this.
Yes.
But we're really happy to have moved, and we have a place to shower and a place to sleep and a kitchen, so that's pretty much all we need. The cats are not super excited about it, so you probably will not see Lola today.
Mm-hmm.
They have been hiding, and they're very scared, and it's really unfortunate because we don't have carpet or anything. It's a little chilly in here, so I feel like they're just kind of doing their own thing. But hopefully we'll be, all back and ready to go and having a stronger internet on Wednesday. They're going to come out and check out everything on Monday for us.
Yes. So, lots of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I will mention one more thing before we get started.
Mm-hmm.
Normally we've been talking about things that we've been watching, and we're kind of like going through our intro pretty quickly and like going a bit deep dive personally, but I feel like everybody that watches us are personal people, so it's okay. I have found out that I'm going to be furloughed from my work. So I would just encourage everybody, we're going to be okay. We're hoping that we'll get our deposit back from our apartment, and that will help kind of carry us through. It's not for an extended period of time. It's for about a month. But now would be the time that if you want to support us by purchasing a piece of merchandise or going to our Ko-Fi and donating just some money, we'd really help it to keep us up and running. It would at least pay for like the internet so that we could go ahead and kind of keep it streaming throughout the rest of June and July. Basically, when I'll be off work is starting Memorial Day and then kind of through the month of June. So I will be back to work hopefully by 4th of July, but things have been really hard at the hospital, and they're trying to save money wherever they can. And because I'm working in research that is not saving people's lives immediately, like we're basically developing drugs and they're really untested and it's kind of at the beginning stages. So all of my stuff I think eventually will save people, but they're not currently saving people. So I was one of the first people who had to go, unfortunately, but we're doing the best that we can, and we're still going to keep the QuaranStream going, especially now that I have a lot of time for it. But now is the time to support us if you do have some time, and you just save that little bit of extra $10 or $20 from your stimulus checks. We would really appreciate it.
Yeah. And like she says, there's lots of ways you can support us. There's the T-shirts, which are always linked below, either the stream or the archived video. And you can see, like, traveling along, well, people on the stream probably can't see it because our connection is so unstable. But you can probably see traveling along the bottom of the screen there. We have a coffee account, so you can buy us a coffee or two. That every little bit helps. That's a very simple thing to use. That's just a PayPal account. Can connect to that and send us a little bit of money.
Yep.
And we both have, if you search us online, you can find Bri has some plays that are published. I have some music that's out there. Anything that piques your interest, if you can support a little bit, that's great.
Or, with the time off, like if you want something created for you, that would be something I would certainly consider. I sew and I crochet and I paint. And I could write you something. Yes. I could edit something for you. I have a really good track record of getting people into graduate level programs. My past 3 years, I had been working with undergraduates and graduates going to the next stage of their development. And so I will read your personal statements. I will help out with personal essays. But really, it's like we'll be happy to dance monkey dance. Yes. If you can throw some bucks our way, just let us know how we can kind of return the favor. And I think what would be an ultimate goal for us is it costs $70 per month to keep just internet going. And you can kind of see from our experience today, when you don't have great internet, how hard it is to enjoy the QuaranStream. So if we can even just raise like $70, that'd be awesome. And we know that we can keep the QuaranStream on the air.
Yes, and we're going to keep the coffee link going across the bottom for today's stream. It's going to be very PBS pledge drive in a way.
A little bit. I'll talk really quickly about some of the shows that we've seen. We haven't really seen anything from big theater things just yet. We've been watching a lot of YouTube, of course.
Yeah.
I just finished the Bleeding Love from 3 weeks ago from the Broadway Podcast Network. I definitely take a listen. It's really, really good music. Really, really compelling characters. I'd really love to see a workshop of it. I just know we can't. It's quarantine. But that was something that I would highly recommend. It's, people just trying to start something new. And so few times do you see like an original musical from an original source. So if that's something that compels you, definitely check it out. It's free. You can check it out on Apple.
Yeah.
I really feel like most of this time has been spent stressing about the move and stressing about the announcement of my furlough. So I'd like to say I watched all these things to help kind of keep my mind off of stuff, but I am the worst. I love to support art when I'm happy, and when I'm miserable, that's when I just cry on the floor. So I don't really have anything really to share, but we're doing all right. We're getting through this. We're getting better, and hopefully we'll share some really fun things about pitching a YouTube musical today.
Yes, and I will say really quickly, in the spirit of like sharing things that we've been listening to. You mentioned you've been listening to the Bleeding Love podcast. I've been listening to an album recently that's been helping a lot. It's very cathartic music. The name of the album is Push Through, Thru, through. And the name of the artist is Crystal Beth. And I know about Crystal Beth as an artist in large part because I actually went to high school with the woman who is Crystal Beth. And her music, she's done amazing stuff with music in the years since we went to high school together. And Crystal Beth is an amazing act. And this album is just, it's very intense and driving and has helped a lot at times when like I couldn't get out of my own head. It's helped to like get me focused on I've got things I need to get done. So that's my recommendation in terms of other arts out there.
Well, he also had a cute story about his old English teacher in high school.
Oh, yes. My English teacher in high school, my senior AP English teacher who also coached me for 4 years on the Southwest Academic Conference English team. She is retiring this year, which is, it's well-deserved. She's been an amazing teacher, and she's had a very long career and everything. And she is heading into her retirement she received an autograph and a personal video message from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, which she's a huge fan of The Rock. So this was a huge surprise for her. And if you search online, you'll probably be able to find there's been a couple of like smaller outlet news stories about it. It is just the delight on her face when she saw the video starting is fantastic. And Carol Probst is her name. She's an amazing teacher, and I hope that she enjoys a long and happy retirement.
But without further ado,
yes,
now it's all the moment you've been waiting for. Coming to the Musical QuaranStream to talk about musical theater is we're going to talk about converting YouTube channels into musicals.
Yes.
We talked about for a long time, last episode, what did we think the future of musical theater was going to be?
Yeah.
We've seen books, we've seen albums, we've seen different things converted from stories to musical theater. And we thought kind of the next thing that might be up there for ripe for adaptation would be YouTube channels and things that we enjoy on YouTube. Yeah,
and I mean, it's even another medium like video games. We've seen that adapted as well, even just if it's something like The Trail to Oregon. But YouTube channels do have YouTube channels do have really, we feel, rich, fertile ground for bringing this sort of thing into the theater, because they tend to be very personal and personable sort of material. And from my perspective as an artist, one of the things I love about the idea of adapting YouTube is some of them seem unadaptable to live theater. You've got great personalities, great stories, but is it really something you see in theater? Which is why I really wanted to do this one that I'm doing today, is because I wanted to be like, can I pitch a story for a YouTube channel that isn't naturally a Broadway show? All right, so the channel that I'm pitching today.
I was like, let me see if I can back up and you can back forward, because this is your pitch.
All right.
And I feel like I am like front and center for your pitch here.
Move down, move down.
I know we have a little bit more space, so this is going to be weird to adjust. You know, we didn't really have a lot of room in our last apartment, so be it that I can like move away.
Yes,
it's going to be kind of neat.
We can actually shift around.
Take the forefront and do his pitch.
All right, so the channel that I am adapting today.
I can grab some water.
All right.
That's what I'm not headless. I'm just grabbing water.
The channel that I am adapting today. Look at the wonderful Spider-Man cup. Remember when you could go see movies? Wasn't that a fun time?
Approve.
The channel that I'm adapting today is a channel I've been watching for a while on YouTube. Bree's watched a few of them with me, but not a whole bunch of them.
It's not my thing. I'll be honest. I think that the guy does a great job. And there's been certain things that like Glenn has really gotten me into from his YouTube channel watching. Like he was watching this Canadian guy who does recipes. I like him. I need to subscribe to him because I really did like him. He built like this whole kitchen in his backyard. I beat 'em ups. I was like, I'm not a big video game person. Like I like 2 video games, that's it kind of thing. But like he brings on his girlfriend and his cat, well his fiance now. And I like the personality. I thought that was cute. I think like the other one that you're kind of talking about, like the kick scammer stuff, that's even kind of like interesting. I don't think I'll subscribe, but maybe I will.
Kick scammers and what happened? You like
what happened. Yeah, I was like for somebody who's like not a video game player, like there's 2 things that kind of like circle as a fandom that I don't get involved, but it's just it's the drama piques my interest apparently. It's video games and comic books. Like I don't think I want to buy comic books or video games. I don't think I want to be a collector or an avid fan, but I like it because I think it's creative, and I think that the people in the industry are really creative, and when things go wrong, it's very juicy. So I like that type of stuff. And Techmoan, he is like a sound engineer, an engineer type of guy. And if anybody knows me from when I was taking theater classes, I could not do sound engineering or lighting engineering. It's just not the way I think about things. Like, I really like costuming and I like set because it's physical and I can like really think about it. But I feel like it's just that little bit of extra of like that physics brain where it's like it's not enough to just take it apart, but you want to put it back together and have it work. I can take it apart. I can't put it back together and make it work. I can just be like, and now it's a sculpture and I meant for that and it's art. So I feel like that's the one piece of Glenn's interest and Glenn's hobbies that I support wholeheartedly. But I was like, I don't get the mini disc thing. But it makes him happy, so yay.
Yes, mini disc is something that Techmoan directly got me involved in, like actually trying to track down and get into. And Techmoan, as Bri said, Techmoan is a technology channel. From time to time, there are technology reviews on the channel, but mostly he doesn't focus on technology reviews. What he focuses on is he focuses on the technology itself and the history of the technology and the history of trying to sell technology. And one of the things I've started like joking about is there have been so many things when I talk about the history of media and entertainment that I have just like taken for granted of like, oh, well, this, where Techmoan shows me I'm completely wrong. So things like I go, oh, well, you know, VHS and Betamax exist because like they couldn't figure out how to put movies on a vinyl disc. Turns out they did. 3 times. and tried to sell it to people and didn't really get all that far with the sales. But he has the vinyl discs and the vinyl disc players and shows how they work, how they encoded the movies to go onto vinyl, that sort of thing. I used to be like, oh, well, you know, it's necessary to have like disc-based medium because all of the data it takes for HD video, you couldn't put that on a VHS tape. They did. He has the player. He has 3 or 4 video cassettes, and he goes through how they encoded HD on a regular magnetic videotape. So I'm always like, anytime I go, well, our technology never went in this direction, he's like, yes, it did. Nobody bought it. And that has been amazing for me, is the number of things I've seen, including a lot of things that came out in my lifetime that I never really knew were a thing. And Minidisc, of course, I knew Minidisc was a thing, but it was his sort of profile on the format that made me look at it and go, oh, you know, at the time that Minidisc was being sold, I was big into, I have a CD burner. Mm-hmm. And I can just burn a CD of any music I want and play it in anything I've got that already plays CDs. Why would I want to invest in something like Minidisc? And it turns out because, like...
We were all hooked up on Napster and LimeWire.
Yeah, you know.
Casa.
But it turns out that, yeah, there's actually a lot going on there because, like, CDs, we never really got to a good point of music CDs being reburnable. And once you burned a CD, you couldn't take track 5 and move it to be track 2. And all of these things. With Minidisc, you could. So his, like, strip down of the technology of how Minidisc worked sent me out at a time when there's virtually no Minidisc players being manufactured. To go to eBay and buy a Minidisc player and recorder and a handful of Minidisc and start recording albums that I like to Minidisc, because it's just such a cool format and there's so much fun in what's going on there. And to be perfectly honest, I'm getting sick and tired of cloud music services. I will not mention which company. There's a company whose product I have used since it launched, bought tons of music from them. Over a decade's worth of my purchases, they just evaporated out of my library one day.
The other thing I kind of don't like, and I know this company as well, and you might be thinking of it, is if you've ever had the original song of something, and then they had to change the lyric because the lyric wasn't appropriate or problematic or whatever, or the band didn't want to be explicit anymore, they wanted to be clean.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I really have not liked going back in my library is finding like, oh, but I had the old lyrics, so yes, this is great. Well, they just change it for you. Yeah. Like they take that copy away. Whereas like if you had a physical copy, you'd still have what you originally purchased in like 1996. But they just kind of go and update whatever they kind of have in their library, so you end up missing a lot of stuff, or it's not the thing that you purchased, or we've had several times, oh, it's this rare, obscure thing, but then it's translated to the more popular thing that we didn't buy.
Yeah. Well, and
you're like, what is this?
2 examples I can think of out of my own library. Amanda Palmer and the Grand Theft Orchestra released Theater is Evil, which is a great album. I love the album. And there was a track on there, the Bed Song, which a lot of her fans apparently didn't really like the way the Bed Song turned out. She wound up not being too happy with how it turned out. She went back into the studio, re-recorded it, reproduced it, and put it back out there. And now you have the Amanda Palmer approved version of the Bed Song replaces the original version on that album. Which, for me, as an artist, I'm like, no, I understand not liking the direction you wound up going with it originally, but that has value that you published it like that originally. And thankfully, that's an album I gave to the Kickstarter and got like a physical copy, so I still have a copy of it as it originally came out. But if I had just relied on a digital download of it, I wouldn't have that anymore. That historical document would have been altered, and I wouldn't have any way to get back to it. And another one is from the 1980s. Calloway recorded a song called I Wanna Be Rich, which Bri knows is one of my favorite songs. It's after you're done watching us. Don't leave in the middle of the show. But after you're done watching us, go to YouTube and search Calloway, I Wanna Be Rich. Yeah. Calloway spelled like Cab Calloway. Yeah. Calloway, I Wanna Be Rich. The music video is iconic. It just cannot be beat. I don't think there's been a better music video since. But there is a portion of the song that in the original version of the track is sung in a high falsetto. Like high falsetto, which is a very R&B thing. It fits perfectly with the style of the song and everything. For some reason, when I download it now from the cloud, what I get is not the version with the high falsetto. They've dropped the high falsetto out and replaced it with a very heavily auto-tuned, tinny sounding voice. And I just like, I don't know why the change was made.
And I think the scariest thing is something that, you know, we've been warned about probably since most of our, you know, young adult to adult life, was when you have that ability to go back and just change things and rewrite history, like, we can't really trust our memories, and we don't have evidence of stuff. And I think that it doesn't just have implications of things like music, like, obviously, us knowing that these things are different doesn't really change the world. It's just kind of like a Mandela effect that we just kind of share this history. But I do think if you think of things with social and political ramifications, that's where it gets really scary.
Yeah. And it also, from a consumerist perspective, it is very scary. The concept of your ownership is now no longer genuine ownership. Right. Even when, you know, it's one thing for me to subscribe to Deezer. I have a subscription to Deezer and stream music anytime that I want to.
And it's really great because there's been several times we've listened to musicals that we just want to listen to them. And then we realize, oh gosh, this is not worth $14. Or we're just not willing to pay $14. Like, let's be honest, it's probably worth $14.
Yeah, and see, that model of it, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
The Netflix, the Deezer, the Apple Music sort of thing. But when you get into, this is an album I want. I was told that I would own this album if I paid $10. I paid $10, and then because it was a few years ago that I paid $10, the company feels it's perfectly fine for it to just evaporate out of my music library. That's not good. Like, if you have a CD collection, nobody at the record label ever got the right to come into your home and smash your CD you had purchased. Nobody from a publishing company ever got the right to come into your home and burn your copy of George Orwell's 1984. But relying on the digital, the cloud sort of thing like that, that's exactly what has happened now. Your collection can disappear if the company that published it decides they don't want you to have it anymore.
Well, and we can kind of tell you from personal recent experience, we have more boxes than space right now. Yes. You're kind of seeing nothing because we've done that on purpose. But we've moved probably 10 times in the past 10 years. Like, we've moved a lot just in financial hope, I guess. We keep hoping we'll find nice jobs that pay us well, and this will be the time that we get to set down roots. And so, Lord knows, we have moved these books and these movies and these DVDs and CDs and everything that we own. Like, we still have like a VHS player that we keep carting around the country because we have that value of having these historical artifacts and having these pieces of media that have really been impactful on us as artists and performers. And as horrible as it was that I think we were both like lying on the floor crying at around like 8 o'clock last night because our muscles hurt because it's been in quarantine. We haven't had to lift boxes and our backs hurt because we're old. But we've still, we're paying money on a storage locker because we still believe in the value of this media and these artifacts. And it's really hard sometimes. And it definitely would make our lives a lot easier if we would just say, oh, we don't care. And we just want to have these cloud pieces. But I feel like this is kind of our last vestiges of kids growing up in the 80s and 90s, and like we're not selling out, and we're gonna be those original hipsters.
And I'm not gonna lie, part of the appeal of mini disc is getting music off of a physical thing you pop in there. Yeah, it appeals to the 80s kid in me who grew up with cassettes. It appeals to the 90s kid in me who had a ton of CDs. And yeah, that is part of it, the physical aspect of being able to pick the album you want, put it in, hit play, listen on your earphones. I'm not going to deny that. But I also feel we do need to start having discussions about physical media as a means of genuine ownership of what you are purchasing.
And like a consent in what you choose to purchase, because I think that's the reason why you do get upset when you have a piece of media that I wanted to put down money to buy this, and then it was altered without your consent. It's like, this is what you want, and you're like, no. No.
All right. All of that said, that got far afield from what we're talking about.
But it's all related.
It is all related.
I promise. We're getting to the pitch.
And I'm going to say it's all related because this is the kind of conversation that somebody like Techmoan can engender when he's talking about physical medium and all of the many ways that we have chosen over the years to contain our culture and our entertainment and our arts. But one of the things that you kind of learn from Techmoan is the best doesn't always win out. Mm-hmm. Like if you wanted a physical medium that was the absolute best way to listen to music, you're going to get the highest fidelity recording, you're going to get all of the sound quality and everything like that. What I've gotten from watching Techmoan is we would all still be listening to reel-to-reel tape. We don't listen to reel-to-reel tape because there's convenience issues, there's portability.
And he also said something about age, where it's like, he's an older guy, and he'll talk about, like, I could have the highest resolution, fidelity, sound equipment, but he can't hear it.
Your hearing loses levels of, sensitivity for higher and lower end vibrations as you get older. So he's like, for streaming services, for someone his age, he's like, streaming services are probably just fine. He's like, I like all these physical things because I like the physical thing. Yeah. But all of that said, Techmoan, wonderful YouTube technology channel, goes through the history, really, of entertainment and arts in various media, how those media were developed, why they were developed, and how they were sold to people, and how they either wound up hugely successful, becoming the gold standard for the industry for a time, or how they wound up never really taking off. Why did they never really take off? Was it because of the technology itself, or was it because somebody screwed up on the marketing for the technology? All great things handled by this very charming, very intelligent, erudite, yes, British gentleman.
Very passionate.
Yes, named Matt, who very much loves all of these things that he loves the fact that these things exist. I think that's the important thing.
And he always does demonstrations. I'm always impressed of, he's a hobbyist, but he's a very in-depth hobbyist, and so he'll sit there and be like, so I took it all apart, or so I wondered why wouldn't this part go here, and so he'll actually walk you through everything too, which is kind of neat.
And he'll talk about the engineering that goes into them. Every now and then he'll post a video where he's gotten his hands on a fairly rare piece of technology. It doesn't work anymore, and you'll see him attempting to repair it. Usually with pretty good success. But you can count on him for going in depth into it. And the thing that I feel makes this translatable to the stage to me is ironically a thing that people who subscribe to his channel appear to have absolutely hated. Which is that at a certain point he got tired of getting the same YouTube comments all the time. Mm-hmm. Anytime he's talked about a high fidelity thing, someone popping up to be like, streaming services are all you need. I don't understand why we're talking about this. anytime he was talking about a video medium, oh, if it's not on Netflix, I'm not interested, sort of thing.
Well, and also vice versa, because I have seen videos where it's like, he'll say, well, this is just fine to listen to. Well, if you're not paying for the most high-end, you know.
Yes, if you don't have all gold-plated connections, he cannot win no matter what he says. So he created these Muppet-style puppet characters who will pop up from time to time at the end of the videos. He voices all of them. And it's always like the really noisy, loud complainer who wants to complain about something that's been posted on YouTube. And then like a foil character who's sitting there to be like, but what about this, you know? And I sort of love the combination of this technology show that he produces that really reminds me, it's all historical technology, but it takes me back to being a kid in the late 80s, early 90s, and watching shows like Beyond 2000, where you would have these British presenters talking about this brand new technology that's just hitting the market today, you know. And look at this little headset. Is this going to bring virtual reality into your living room? No, it's not. Nobody was going to sell virtual reality for your living room until 30 years later. But they were very passionate about the fact that this tiny little thing was going to bring virtual reality into your living room. And that's what his tech segments remind me of. They give me that same sort of feeling. And then the puppets that aren't genuinely for kids, but they sort of bring to mind that old, like, Puppet Kids show. Like Pinwheel, Eureka's Castle, all of those. And what I started thinking about when I started thinking, how are we going to turn this into a musical for the stage? Is I was like, let's slam those two ideas together. He keeps them very separate on his channel. He never interacts with the puppets. The puppets are just there at the end of most of his videos to make some commentary on some of the more inane ideas that people might have based on the video he just did. But I was like, let's take those characters now. And what I envision in my head is the show becomes a show within a show. So what you have is essentially Matt of Techmoan is Mr. Wizard. He's a very passionate television host about these technologies and how these technologies were developed, how they still can be used today, how they were sold, that sort of thing. And he does this show. The puppets are the crew that helped produce the show. So you have the loud, opinionated guy is the cameraman. You have the female puppet that he uses is like his script supervisor or production assistant. So you have all of these puppet characters that essentially what you wind up with is one human cast member who runs on stage to do a little segment every now and then. And then just a whole bunch of other puppet characters who pop up and fill all of the rest of the show.
So I feel like, if I'm understanding this correctly, it's a little bit of Mystery Science Theater.
A little bit of Mystery Science Theater.
It's a little bit of The Curious Creations of Christine McConnell.
Yes, that's a good one.
It's a little bit of Avenue Q.
Little bit of Avenue Q. Very little bit of Avenue Q. I think that as much as I've said this is not a kids' show, it leans more toward the kids' end of puppet theater than Avenue Q does. Because Avenue Q is all about being very specifically subversive with these puppets, so that it is an adult puppet show. And this show would be much more along the lines of puppet characters, being puppet characters that you're familiar with, sort of thing. In fact, the running plot line that I had in mind was, it's Matt's birthday. And the puppets don't know how they're going to celebrate Matt's birthday. Well, we could get him a this. He already has one of those. Well, what about this? Hey, guys, I just won this on eBay. On comes Matt to produce the next segment, and it's about exactly that thing. So that you have Matt comes in, and I'm actually picturing musical numbers based on his videos tearing apart the technology.
I feel like you could do a very good modern Major General type of patter song.
Yes. You could have a patter song about the many different ways that human beings have done HD video. Mm-hmm. You could have a ballad to 15" per second reel-to-reel tape. You could have, like, he's one of the things I love about Matt. Older, silver-haired English gentleman, like we've said, who loves rap music. He's constantly pulling out...
And people send him stuff, it's really funny. He'll be like, I got sent this, let me play it.
Yes, but he'll pull out, like, his old Scarface mixtape to try out, like, one of the devices he's got or something like that. So you could have a hip-hop song in there about Minidisc, why not? But you have... All of his segments are genuinely like musical numbers that are genuinely about, here is a piece of technology and how it worked. So it's very educational. And then the puppets get all of the emotional songs. Mm. They get all of the, how can you say thank you to someone songs. They get all of the, what does it mean to care about another person songs. So you go through this entire thing, and I'm going to pull out a musical not a whole bunch of people have seen. Bri has seen it because I showed it to her. The Magic Show. The way Doug Henning runs through the Magic Show as just like this force of chaos. He very rarely stops to actually get involved in the story. The story is told by the other characters around him. Then Matt runs on, Doug Henning runs on, does a magic trick that ties into the story, but then he runs off again, and the other characters take on the rest of the story. That's what I envision this as. Matt runs on to do a segment about technology. The other characters, the puppet characters, take on the emotional journey of the story. Until we reach the end where we learn that Matt, as aloof as he has been in the structure of the play, is not genuinely an aloof person. He's a person who is loving and a person who is caring. So in this birthday party sort of scenario, what you have is, Matt, we tried so hard to make your birthday special. We know that you love all of these things, and we tried to find you something, and we just couldn't find it for you. And him essentially being like, that's okay. I don't need anything else for my birthday except that all of you are here. Lovely, heartfelt, touching family show.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of a few years ago on PBS. It was Eric Idle, I think, Explains the Whole Universe or something like that, where he would have a guest star come on and do a big musical number that he wrote, and it would be something about like protons or traveling the universe or planets or whatever. So it sounds like almost something a little bit like that, but maybe not so variety-ish.
Yeah. So it's very... I'll be perfectly honest about my own vision of the show. It's very family theater. It's very community theater. And that's kind of what I like about it. Yeah. Is I like the idea of taking this YouTube channel that is just this man talking to the camera about his love for technology and all of the ways that we've used technology, and turning it into a smaller, personal show that allows a connection to the audience.
Well, I also almost wonder if this is similar to like Susical. So like, as I mentioned kind of like last week, a YouTube channel that I've gotten into recently is Wait in the Wings. And they just did a live like 2-hour special about how Susical started and how it became a musical and how it wasn't super successful on Broadway, although it garnered some praise, but became much better for a community theater show. So it's like once they kind of reworked it and everything, they had Susical Junior and community theaters and high school started doing it, then it became super popular and everybody loved it.
Yeah. And I feel like this to me is the crux of the show. This is what makes the show a unique piece that's worth doing. Is that it is a show that combines the emotionality you expect.
I just thought, hi Bristol.
Hello Bristol.
We don't know if you can see us, but hopefully you can.
Yes, we've mentioned this a few times in the chat and on the stream, but if you can see us, we love you. Our connection is a little bit unstable today because of the move and everything like that. But we are going to be posting this video up on YouTube
very soon.
Very soon.
Probably Monday.
So my thoughts on this is the crux of the show. The thing that makes it unique, that makes it worth producing is I envision this show as it's all you expect from a family musical with a heartwarming theme, combined with it is genuinely an educational journey through the history of media technology.
Cool. I know that you would have loved seeing that as a little kid.
Oh, yes. Like,
your parents and John would have seen this like 50 times with you.
You make that a 5-part series with puppets on PBS. I will still have that on VHS somewhere.
Oh, it'll be an alternate reality.
I know, right? So anyway, this is my pitch for Techmoan. If you love this idea, of course, we're an unofficial channel. We haven't gotten the rights for any of these adaptations. Yep. But if you want to talk to Techmoan about licensing it, then hire us to make this show happen. Yeah. We're here.
we got time.
Yes.
June is your time to strike.
Yes. Yes. And in fact, you're very easy to get a hold of. Cheese Breeze's Cheese. I'm Doctor Who. You can contact us and be like, hey, we're an amateur theater company in England. Would you be interested in working with us on your script? We'll do it.
Yeah. Well, we'll be interested in anything.
Yes.
You know, I feel that with our experience in theater and our passion for musical theater, I think that we can pretty much make just about anything that you're interested in. But, you know, we've decided to do these pitches because we are really passionate about creating new work. I really love to support new work. Any single time I see new work being produced, I know how hard that is. I know how hard it is to kind of go off of an original idea. I wrote a musical out of college, and oh my gosh, if I could see that develop for the stage, I would just die happy. But there's so many people out there, and especially so many creators out there, that it is really hard. And more than ever, like, we need to kind of like help and support each other. And I think that we're kind of hoping that this can kind of be a next big step for us. And we'd like to start making connections and be part of that community. So please, if you would like work done, you just heard about me getting furloughed through the month of June. So I could do some short-term contract work. I got a computer and I can type.
and I can produce a draft of a script.
And we both sing.
Yes.
We can sing things. We just don't sing a lot of stuff on here because in case we ever do become popular and get monetized, you can only have 40 seconds of a clip, and I'm not necessarily sure when 40 seconds is and it's time to stop singing because I'm a soprano and I have problems.
Well, and I will put out there, we were just talking about it. Just talking. We haven't like looked into it or anything like that. We're considering trying out Twitch karaoke.
Yeah, I think we want to do something on Mondays, especially. Like, we watched Bye Bye Birdie. We did Tweet Tweet Birdie together. And I think that we're kind of hoping that we can do a little bit more of that, especially with the upcoming free time in June.
Yes.
So maybe, we'll see. I was like, I love singing, and I don't get any opportunities to do it. Like, nobody says, enter in this data or draw this blood and sing while you do it. I mean, I kind of do anyway, but I don't get paid extra.
All right, so let's see. Do we have anything else?
I think that's about it. We just really hope that you really enjoyed this Techmoan pitch. If there's anything you'd like to see us pitch, that's also a really excellent time to kind of like mention us. We do have some pitches scheduled for next week. I'm going to be doing an ASMR musical.
And I am going to be doing a musical based on BuzzFeed Unsolved.
Yay! So we do have some things coming up for next week. We even have some things kind of in the future. But, you know, if there's an idea that's really compelling or something that you really want to see, we do have that flexibility. We create and we run this show. Yes. So please let us know, and we'd be happy to kind of put it in there. I know we did get a request a couple weeks ago to watch Paint Your Wagon or do Paint Your Wagon, which is not something I've seen personally, but I would really, really like to maybe explore that a little bit more, because I know that there are some very, very famous songs, and it's a very, very strong piece of classical musical theater. So.
Yeah, it is and I have seen it before. I really like the show. I think it's a great show. It also has the immortal Simpsons parody of "Gonna paint your wagon, gonna paint it good."
So anyway, we're looking forward to connecting with you more. We got to get back to moving, because there's still a lot of stuff at the old apartment, and if we're not out by tomorrow, they are going to just tear down the building with their stuff in it, probably. Got to go shampoo the carpet, so we'll see you later.
Yes, we love you.
Love you.
Stay safe out there, and until next time, take care of yourself, because remember, we're not there to take care of you, all right?
Enjoy yourself. Wear your mask. We love you.
Yes, love you all. Bye.
Do this in Zoom meetings. And you won't have a double chin. Actually, don't do that. Bye. I'm just gonna keep on dancing. I'm just gonna keep on dancing. Technological issues.
I think honestly we just went to like not streaming without our title